All right, guys. Thanks again. Welcome back to the business. Appreciate you guys checking it out. Today we have a very, very special guest. Actually, this is I'm going to say in the realm of importance, this is probably my most important show because I have Gigi Miller, and she is the owner and cooperator of Next Level Entertainment, and she helps artists sign themselves and get their justly due royalties. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get into it. Let me introduce you. I'm very thankful to have you as my guest today, Gigi. I can't tell you how much. Gigi Miller, folks. Here she is.
Thank you.
Yes, very welcome. So I just want to jump right into questions because I know people have these, artists in particular have these questions. So as I mentioned, you're feeling like a much needed niche here in the industry. And you mentioned, well, it says on your profile that you worked at Geffen Records at one time. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Geffen. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously you picked up a lot of game during that time. Can I ask you, just to give people who are not familiar with you, just kind of how you wound up being an artist developer and what that entails?
Okay. Absolutely. I actually, with that internship, it came by meeting up with Snoop's DJ.
Okay.
Long story short, in 2013, I was living in a pretty small town. I took all my money. I opened up my townhouse and I sold everything down to my rugs, my TVs, and my cars. I took the cash and I went down to Florida in pursuit of the dream.
Right.
Everyone just takes Miami or Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
One of the coasts.
Right. But even before that, I was working as a model, and then I ended up getting into some like Twisted videos, and then I ended up being the person who would bring the models. Okay. So I was doing that for years before. I just always found myself around it because people would be like, "You're pretty." So if someone said that, I never argued them. I was taught in the very beginning of entrepreneurship, if someone sees something in you, don't argue it. See what they can do with what they see. You know, so I literally let them do what they saw with what I could. It advanced itself. Now the internship was one of those that it was something that I think I took just because it was like a foot in. I thought I was around the right people. It was a great situation, but at the same time, that's where I learned that I wanted to do what I'm doing. It was great, but at the same, I also pursue things. So I get the whole paying for a ticket to get somewhere, to get a hotel room, ought to be let down by a fake label in a meeting. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Or those people who sell meetings and you get there and you're actually talking to the coffee person. You know what I mean? Like you basically just to sit and talk with like the janitor in the building that you didn't know the label owner. So I just got to a point where I felt the artists more than the people who were doing the business. They were obviously wanting to figure out, you know, the artists would come in, have the music played, and they would just start talking business. And I mean, and I would sit and look at the artist and he had no clue. No clue. And I mean, I would get to the point where I'd go, you know, go to the hallway and be like, look, if you just go back and if you do this real quick, now don't tell them that I said this, but if you know what I mean? Like I ended up being that, and then they'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you. You know, and I was just thinking that was extremely basic information. And that, you know, well, can I hire you to like tell me some more? And I was just like, whoa. But I can't because they're in the business of taking. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what I did was I'm so grateful for the people I met on the way. I'm grateful for everything that I saw. I don't discourage any other business practice, but that was where the catapult happened, where I basically was like, and now I have people all over social media who are trying to talk to those label heads that were in there, and they're going over me to get to them, and they don't get it. Like, they don't get that I am the person that you're looking to talk to. I'm not them. Right. But, you know, a lot of times people want someone to do the work for them. But no one can be successful for you. I think I think that was like, but then again, I'm not gonna crush it because I am 5 artists away from having 500 clients. So there
Wow.
are a lot. I have
Yeah,
500. So there are a lot of people who do want to know this stuff.
yeah,
They don't want someone to take 80% just so they can learn what that person knows.
right,
So
right.
um yeah, I can't knock and say every artist is labeled. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
And not every artist is just out here to make music. A
No,
lot of people
no,
do want to do it the right way. They don't have
yeah,
time to be, you know, bullshitting
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're getting
yeah,
older. They're getting, they have kids, they have
yeah.
schedules, they have, so yeah. So
That's
that's
very,
basically how about.
yeah, that's very, I think that's very telling because, like you said, we were talking off camera about how intimidating it could be. So these artists get in these meetings and they're like a deer in the headlight, right? They're like, what does this
Yeah,
term mean? What does that term mean? But I'm going to play along because I don't want them to think that, I'm
right.
not hip to this. So then,
And it's a lot of times the artist, if you don't know where you're starting from,
mm,
such for instance, when the artists come to me and they're like, yeah, but they were gonna give me 70-30. Well, if you knew and I knew and when my
mm,
clients know, there's no such thing as 100%.
right,
You're actually kind of starting at, like, if you put a song in distributions, obviously a lot of those things are free, like Deezer and Spotify, and, iTunes, but they take like 2% of your sales,
yeah,
1.1% of your sales. So there is no 100%.
no,
You know what I'm
no,
saying?
right,
So even if you start off, usually they start off roughly about 86%. So
hmm,
if they're already saying 70-30, you're already
yeah,
you're already at 80-30.
yeah,
You're already at, you know what I mean? And then not only that, but they have, oh, well, we go through Sony. Well, Sony wants half of that. So
hmm,
now you're at 50-15. Well,
right,
Sony's on the Universal and they want half of that. Well, now you're at 7.5. You get what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
But in
right,
the main paperwork, it says
hmm,
70-30. You
yes,
know what I'm saying?
exactly.
And then they're wondering why their checks are $12,
Yeah.
$16. I think um
There
the
you go.
highest contract, I go over a lot of contracts just kind of keep up with the royalty pay versus
Hmm.
what I'm doing.
Right.
Right now the highest paid now contract is for every $100. The top signed artist is making $26 out of that every 100.
Right. And that's
So
that's
yeah,
recouping. They have to
everything's in
recoup.
effect.
Companies,
Yeah,
people don't
and
know. Companies
you
have to
don't
recoup.
need. Oh yeah, because
Mhm.
it's almost like one of the biggest things. One of the things when I was interning was the bank robberies. Was
Mhm.
that a lot of labels were signing people. These artists were going out with their $900,000 checks. They were blowing it, and then obviously the labels kind of turned into a mafia
Yeah.
at the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they need to get the money back advanced because your sales did not do what they thought it was going to do. So we need at least $400,000 back. Well, one of the biggest things that artists do is obvious robberies, or they get
Yeah.
drug affiliated and stuff like that.
Yes.
So that was something definitely that showed me how serious it is if you miss your recoupments.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in any situation with people like that.
No. No.
Um,
No.
so like, there's just so many reasons
Yeah.
why, and I can't stress it enough that um, being signed. I mean, that kind of went out, and that started going out when the first iPhone came out in
Yeah.
2010. As soon
Yeah.
as they gave you the 13 apps to make your music, distribute your music,
All the
record your
rest of that
music. I
stuff
mean, and
obsolete. Yeah.
exactly,
Obsolete. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
People really
Yeah.
started fading out with that ideal. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, so and we will get to. I think I was going to. One of my follow-up questions was, and you kind of touched on it with the industry. Like, no one wants to getting signed now is something that a relic of the past, right? That's a relic
yeah,
of the past, and it's now. That's why I feel like you and people like you who have your services are so relevant now because you can sign yourself, literally sign yourself, right? So
and
my
it's
yeah.
roughly like what, $300 to sign yourself. People are
Yeah.
like, man, it's gonna take me thousands. No, paperwork and signing yourself. And a lot of times those clients already paid for a lot of those accounts. They just
Yeah.
have no idea how to use them.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not this financial thing by
Right.
all means.
And we blow $300 on the iPhone, right? Or
Oh my
George sneakers.
God. Well, that's why when so many follow me and they're like, I'm trying to get this budget together. Bro, I follow you. I saw the 4 Remy bottles across the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw your fit. When I see a
Yeah.
new outfit for a video shoot, that lets me know into the mindset of your priority. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not in the business anymore of chasing artists down and saying, hey, you don't need to do a video. You need to. I'm not in the business of that
Right.
anymore. Thank
Right.
God. But but I don't chase anyone to help them, and nor is anybody else.
Right.
I mean, as that goes.
And
So
I like that. I like that because now you don't have the need to because your work speaks for itself. You got testimonials to back it up, right?
yeah,
So
my client
now you
best
get,
promoter is a
yeah,
happy client.
yeah,
So
and
that's
that's
what I
beautiful.
focus.
Word of mouth is a beautiful thing, and now you have the
Yeah.
internet, right? So I
Yes.
know you're a huge proponent of artists navigating their careers, especially in the business sense. So I wanted to ask you. Oh, there we go. I wanted to ask you
No,
what was the best piece of professional advice that you've ever received?
the best to find urgency in the things you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
How to trick your mind into wanting to write that email as bad as you want to go outside and smoke that square. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wanting to pay the $50 for my one sheet
Mm-hmm.
over, paying the $50 for, all 6 of us to eat at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
It was in those moments that I started making those changes that I realized a lot of my success was solely on me.
Mm-hmm.
Solely on me.
Right.
I mean, the content someone makes, that's great. But for me, in order to put the stuff together in an email, that
Mm-hmm.
was solely on me. I can't blame that on nobody else.
Right.
So finding the urgency to do the things that I did not want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I set alarms, I did post-its. Now I just know I have to do them, but I'm addicted to results.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do with my clients as soon as they start. I mean, as soon as they start, you get into the community. You're now open to 500 clients who are just like you, who are
Right.
talking about ISRCs. You've
Right.
never been in a studio where all the people are talking about your UPCs and your ISRCs. Like
Yeah.
holy cow, they're talking about what I want to. I can either be a fly on the wall and watch this conversation, or
Mm-hmm.
I can really start engaging and starting to learn myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was the one that changed it for me. I kept trying to do everything in my head
Mm-hmm.
when I wanted to do it. I wanted to be one of those freelancer entrepreneurs. I thought that meant like laying around and getting paid. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Sipping mimosas, doing it on your own time, right? No, that's
Oh
good.
yeah,
That's good.
oh yeah,
But that's the
oh
dream.
yeah.
That's the dream we see, right? When you're independent and you're a business owner, hey, I can have I can have a sleep until 11 o'clock and then have a
But you know
what?
what? And now,
Mm,
because those 4 goals, like this is one of my goals, and it was scheduled for 4:30. So obviously a goal to make the Zoom. But
mm,
the 3 things within the day I got done before 3.
mm.
So I do get to lay around
Yeah,
from 5 to the rest of the day.
right.
But if I did not have that self-discipline
Yeah,
to do the rough drafts and
yeah,
to do this, I would be working all day,
yeah.
because I also have clients overseas. So
Okay.
at, 9, 10, 11 o'clock while we're laying down, it's
Mm-hmm.
becoming 8, 9, 10 o'clock over there. So I work into about 11, 2, 3 in the morning. So
Mm-hmm.
that way I'm with them in the morning, we work, and
Mm.
then obviously I have my American then. So like it
Awesome.
just,
That's awesome. Yeah, it's all about self-discipline. Same with me. It's
yeah,
just like I have to, in my mind, I feel like I'm a self-starter. So no one ever had to tell me, hey, you need to, at this certain time, you need to be at the studio, or this certain time, you need to concentrate on doing your paperwork and filling this out. And before you even think about pushing a song out there, you need your copyright. You need to do all your other, due diligence all the way down the line, like you talk about, right? So
And
for
then I
me,
want
it took
and
a,
I want to give you a result instantly.
yeah.
If you were to do that, you would get a result. Say for instance, if you're the copywriter and it says you now own your own words. If anyone tries to take it, those
Mhm.
are much yours as your shoes on your feet. You
Right.
would be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like that is that if you don't experience that type of gratification for yourself, you wouldn't know what that feels like.
You wouldn't.
You
You
know what
wouldn't.
I mean?
You wouldn't.
But as you and I both know, I've high-fived my angels on many occasions, like
Yes.
we did it,
Yes. Yes.
you
Well,
know.
and
But
you know that you're doing this,
if you
you're working.
didn't know it,
Yes. You know you're working for, and what's the really, to me, the icing on the top is, you know, you're working for yourself, right? Like I remember those times.
yeah,
I remember those times working for somebody else in an office, and now I'm doing it for myself. And it's just like, this is for me. Like I'm looking at it like, hey, I need to do this for me. And it's such,
yeah.
like you said, gratifying experience when you get that Library of Congress. It's like, oh, okay, this, I own this now. Like this work, I own this. You know what I mean? So
You want to put it in a frame? You
yes, I
trying to
did, but
put
I
it?
did that. I did that. That was me. I did that. You know, and it's a gratifying feeling because you know that, you know, you're a parent, I'm a parent, and so this is your legacy, right? This is, I look at it like this
Yeah,
is my legacy. That's why, that's the
yeah,
importance I'm placing on it. It's my legacy.
yeah.
So
If
yeah,
I someone remember me for doing something great to change the world,
there you
you
go.
know,
Exactly.
lives for the better. Um,
Yes.
I also teach my clients to also put some accounts in their kids or godsons. A lot of family members have brothers who passed away that got kids, and the kids don't really have no life insurance or nothing. So they
Mhm.
start releasing music and put it in the kids' information,
Mhm.
and the money
Yes.
going to the kids' savings account. You
Yes.
know, there's 3 or 4. So now the kid
Wow.
is getting paid for the rest of his life
Yes.
off
That's
of that
smart.
person continually pushing. Now, as far
Yeah.
as like the flip flop of um like when artists with the likes and
Mhm.
stuff, and that
Yeah.
may be what it wants, what
Yeah.
ends up happening is this: you end up learning you learn the system. You
Mhm.
learn the system, and you know how you realize that, okay, I'm not really interested in my likes, but I really like Lil John's likes over there because he's got like 14,000 likes,
Yeah.
and those are money. So now all of a sudden likes are money to you around. Who
Mhm.
can I, because you can work with, you can put any person around you through the system underneath yourself and get yourself paid. So now I have
Mhm.
clients that take on 14 to 15 artists and register their music and make anywhere from $5,000 to $13,000 every 3 months. Just
Wow.
registering other artists because they're looking at their likes. So when the artist in a more non-developed state of mind of this business,
Yes.
they're about getting likes. Well, someone who is above them in the next tier of education of this is like,
You can
I
have it.
need them to stay ignorant. I need
Yes.
them to stay right where they're at. I
Yeah.
need them to keep pushing their music on Instagram
Yeah.
because my clients will be like, man, I'm trying to hook this one that just got 207,000 views in 24 hours.
Wow.
And they will.
Yeah.
And that's my client's money.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like my client will get like 7 CD sales online or 7 downloads,
Yeah.
126 streams, but then they total out at 26 million with everyone they've collected their money.
Yes.
So
Yes.
all of a sudden, my interest and my likes go right out the window.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You don't care about that because let's be honest, it's a vanity metric, right? All these likes are just vanity metrics. And so,
Yes.
and a lot of these people who are on your Instagram and with the fire emojis, are they really buying you? Are they really downloading? Are they really taking the time to listen, to watch your latest video? Are they really taking the time to download your music? They're not. A lot of them aren't. All right. It's, let's
I
be
think
honest.
no, I have 500 clients and I probably heard 4 of them. I've
Yeah.
probably heard for them.
Right.
I find new music when I always tell my clients, pay attention to how people are listening to music. And when you're on social media,
Yeah.
you can't be advertising one way, because you can't advertise to your auntie how you do your homeboy.
There you
You can't
go.
advertise to your side chick how you do as you do a boss woman. You know what
Right,
I mean?
right,
So like,
right.
you're just
Yeah,
finding one way of promoting. You
yeah,
gotta understand, you're talking to a vast range of people who could be taking from you. So not only do you have your music, but you got to give us something else besides your music to
right,
connect to you for.
right,
You know, I don't like a lot of artists, but I like what they stand for.
right.
I like what they fight for on social media. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like, I ain't never heard Big Mike, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I really like that he's always there for the Black Lives Matter. You
right,
get what I'm
right.
saying? So
Yeah.
like, if they could just, if they can maybe open themselves up more, make themselves a little bit more vulnerable, tell the
Mm-hmm.
truth.
Mm. Oh my God.
There's yeah, there's
That's
just so
good.
much more. You
Okay.
guys want, and to me, then you ask someone to listen to your music, you're now putting a demand on me.
Yes.
No one wants to be demanded throughout the day what to do
Right.
outside the boss life. You know, so I think that a lot of people lack the genuineness. I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people look up to me for the way that I connect. Well, that's because I talk about my business, but I also
Mm-hmm.
talk about losing my mom. I
Yeah.
also talk about my depression. I
Yeah.
also talk about God and my relationship with him. I also talk, you know what I mean? So like, a lot of people follow me, may just follow me because, oh, you inspire me by, you know, your
Mm-hmm.
relationship with God. But I really like what you're doing with that music thing.
Right. Right. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Right.
so
Right. In other words,
like
in other words, not to interrupt you, bring value, right? A lot of
yeah,
people don't bring value. I'm asking you to do something for me, but I'm not bringing any value.
yeah.
I'm big on reciprocity, right? So if you're going to ask people to do something, take time out of their day to do something, bring some value. And that's why I really follow your page, because you bring a lot of value other than
Yeah.
people feel
Or
like
just
they
say, hey, I realize that every single time you're posting music that you're listening to, it's Celine Dion. I'm sorry, I listen to Celine Dion and
Mhm.
country, and like I'm
Yeah,
a vast. I listen to Aerosmith, you
yeah,
know. So
yeah.
learn me.
Mhm.
Don't send me your traumatic riding through 63rd on the blah, blah. That's not me.
Right,
You get what
right.
I'm saying though? Like, and a lot of people don't. You can tell they just, this wasn't for me. You're just doing a blind handout, aren't you?
Mhm. Right.
Because if you knew me, you'd be like, this is for you to listen to, G, tonight. I know you listen to this. I would be more amped to try your second and third and fourth song if I
Mhm.
knew that you actually came at me with something that's just for me.
Right,
And
right.
that's, music can more to the listener than it did to the writer,
Yes,
you
yes,
know? So
yeah. Hmm.
I think
Okay.
that's important.
Okay. Yeah. That kind of is a segue to kind of what we were talking about before, with a lot of artists say, hey, well, I just want to be an artist, right? I don't want to have to deal with all that. I don't want to have to deal with the paperwork. I want to have somebody else do it for me. Like you said, it's because, and those people, in so many stories we know of, some people get taken advantage of because they leave it up to that manager. They leave it up to that, um, you know, entertainment lawyer or whoever it is, and because they don't want to learn the business, right? So it comes down to that. So how do you help artists see the advantages of, like kind of buckling down and doing the gritty work before they go off and release their music?
Okay.
How you help them see that?
Um, first, the first thing that I say to that
Mm-hmm.
is, how selfish is that? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, something like, really, you're taking, sometimes y'all take the car from your kid's mom so you can go to the studio for 2 to 3 hours. You're taking money from the food savings or whatever vacation savings to do this new hot recording. You're
Mm-hmm.
taking time away from your kids. They ain't seen their daddy all day because they've been at school, and now you're at the studio, so they only get you at nighttime. You're sacrificing so much to go home and not bring nothing to the table.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
How dare you just be about that? I mean, if you're able to, then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, go and sit in the studio all day. But a lot of the ones that I watch, you have families, you have responsibilities. You're not out here. I mean, you may be hustling to get the money to go into the studio, but a lot of you are asking people for money for the studio.
Yeah.
How dare you know going in there asking for money to go to the studio? You know you're on your way back thinking, how am I going to show them that their money's worth something?
Mm.
Because I'm guaranteed the song is not going to be enough.
Mm-mm. No. Nah. No, it
The
won't.
song is not enough. You
No.
know,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my biggest. I don't mind people telling me that,
Mm.
but then I have a bit of a problem with not doing what you're supposed to be doing then. You know what I mean? Like if I ever took anything from my family and I took my time away from my son, if I leave for the city because I have a meeting, I come back with
Yeah.
something. You get
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So and in a way and as far as like my clients or anything like that, I think you can get addicted to good results. So instantly, as soon as they enter, they get into the community, but I also send them a questionnaire, a 19-question questionnaire to fill out. They answer it, and then I take the USPs, which are unique selling points, and
Mm-hmm.
I mold that into a rough draft, and then
Mm-hmm.
I send that over. So you get your biography quick. Oh, good, a result. You want another one, don't you?
Right.
That is for me, that is easier for me to get you to sit down and do the next step because you already got a good result. And then we sit down, do the next step, you get a good result. Okay, so now it's not hard to schedule with you
Right.
because you're addicted to good results.
Right. Right.
And sometimes that's all it takes is just sit down and let's just get this one result done. And I promise after that, you'll want another one and another one and another one. And that's why some it takes a month to get up and running. Others it takes however long their self priority comes to get to that first result.
Right.
But after that first result, it's usually feet on the pavement running.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great process, and you obviously by now perfected that process. So,
Okay, you can't keep yelling at them to like be like, come on.
yeah,
Like I get it, you don't have the priority. I get it, you don't have the time. But I'm going to figure out how to psychologically get into that head of yours that makes you want to sit down and do this on your off time. I don't want you to sit down and feel like you want to smoke. I don't want you to sit down and feel like you're trying to pop a bottle real quick. I want you on your next free time to not even think about who you're going to be around. I want you to be excited to sit down and work with me.
right.
If I can get that in your head on your next drive when you're about to be free,
Yeah.
then I did my job.
Right.
You
I
know?
like
So
one thing I like about from what I know is that you personally, you know, a lot of times I've seen these other things where people say, well, you know, if you join my organization or if you pay me X amount of dollars, then I'll do, and basically they just lay out the course for you. Like I like the fact that they have your clients have personal contact with you, right? It's like you actually are
yeah.
talking to them. It's not, you know, you're not talking to your representative of a representative, right? They're talking
No,
to,
it's me.
right, right. But that's, to me, that's
And
a
even
starting point.
for like,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, no, there's no I am my business.
yeah,
That's why when people are like, oh, you need to be bigger, you need to be no, I can't. I am 500 clients right now.
mhm.
And if anyone could keep up with my messenger, I would pay you to.
Wow, that's a good problem.
But if people don't understand, it's very particular
Mhm.
questions. What's the R stand for in RSISRC? How do I apply? Do I put the 0 before the 0555? Do I, you know what I mean? It's things that an automated answer couldn't answer.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but once you learn what I teach you, you can't unlearn it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's like riding a bike. Once you learn the process,
Mm-hmm.
you can't go into like 2 months later and be like, oh, I totally forgot. No, it's like it's as natural as picking up a bike and pushing off and start riding again. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
no, it's me. And even for the people who try to do what I do,
Mm-hmm.
kudos. I don't knock anybody's hustle, but what you're not catching is I'm the magic. A lot of them do not have mothers. A lot of them do not have relationships. A lot of them do not. I talk them through. One had, you know, a boyfriend commit suicide. I was there right there through that. And another one that lost a child, a man that lost a child. I was right there through that.
Wow.
I am literally, I'm their developer. I'm the ones who are young, who are in halfway homes. that
Oh,
all they have is their music to hope they get out by the age of 18. And they're like, just stick with me, G. You know what I mean? So
mm,
no one can duplicate that, I guess, in a sense.
yeah,
That can't. I take pride in saying that I'm the magic. You can go ahead and do this. And my clients are really awesome at when someone is trying to duplicate. Oh, they let me know instantly. They let me know. Oh, they let me know. Like, hey, G, someone's on Instagram. We got a screenshot right here.
yeah,
Ooh, ooh. They
yeah,
were. They was trying to sell your outline. We're on them though. So like a lot of times, I really, I love it. But I'm good to them,
yes,
and I respect.
yeah,
And we're both adults.
yeah,
I don't expect anything out of you than I do out of me.
yeah,
Um, I think I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. I'm not a mogul that doesn't relate.
yeah,
I've been scammed out of $13,000 total. I've been to places and it ended up being a schmuck interview. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I've been misguided. I've been misleaded. But that's why I say I just wanted to become a me for me back in the day. That
yeah,
was solely what I wanted to do.
yeah,
So, and as far as like the money and stuff, it's nice, but I think what God's gonna do for me is something I could never even imagine for myself. I think I see a house in the balcony and the palm trees, but
yeah,
I think the way He's going to bless me is gonna be something I never saw for myself. So
yeah,
it's never been a motivation. It's just always been in His hands,
yeah.
and I just work.
That's, and because you don't take time to look up, then that's like you said, it's that blessing is coming. You know it's coming.
Oh yeah. I
You
mean,
don't take time to look.
I have a good relationship with them, so
Yeah,
I feel, and then I put that in my clients too. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I don't whisper his name. I don't
mhm,
whisper God. I don't. Oh no, we all let it know in the group chat. Like,
yeah,
God, won't He do it?
yeah.
Won't He do it? You know
Yes,
what
he will.
I
Yes, he
mean?
will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Yeah. But as far as like the other clients, a lot of times it takes them to finally break through years of following me. I
Yeah,
don't do many interviews. A lot of them have never
I've,
even heard my voice,
I've
you
seen that.
know?
I've seen that. I was scouring the internet for your other interviews.
Yeah.
I know you did determined radio, but I know how that goes.
I never release them on my page
Yeah.
um, because that's almost like the popular clubhouse that's going around right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
I am not, everyone keeps asking me to get on there. I'm not in the business of letting people sit there and pick my brain for free.
Right.
And low subliminal ways of, well, I just was wondering.
Right.
No.
Right. Right. Right.
So I don't put myself in those situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, no. I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff, right? So, I could talk to you for another hour, but I got to keep the segment what it is.
well,
Uh,
thank you
it's,
for bringing up valid points.
yeah, thank you.
Very valid.
It's a very, like I said, and like I was saying, I think when I sent you the introduction to the show, I want to bridge the gap because so many people don't know about, like, you are the glue. In my mind, for artists, you are the glue that holds everything together, that helps elevate artists, especially now in a time where everybody can be their own business, right? Everybody
Yeah.
everybody has these delusions of grandeur, right? Well, I'm going to be popping about doing all this type stuff and get this big budget from the regular company, but no, they don't see the grind behind. Like, for you to get to where you are, hours and hours and hours of learning, processing information, reading, researching. And now to be in your position, it's a beautiful thing, right? Because now you can disperse that, right? But
You
people,
know, you
you don't,
negotiate for yourself.
yeah,
You're almost too qualified for scammers,
yeah, yeah,
and you're too qualified for anyone that wants to take from you.
right, right,
As far as like one of my clients had even did an interview and he was like, man, a lot of times, you knew of these things, but he's like MOCs, ISRCs, ISNIs. He was doing a roll call. And I remember thinking to myself, watching that interview, that artist on the first phone call was like, okay, so ASCAP. Huh.
right, right,
So
yeah,
when I hear them speak like that, it
Mm.
just is kind of like, that is so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That is so cool
It's another
because
language. It's a whole
just
nother
that,
other language, right?
yeah,
The whole other language. And
it's a whole other language, but it's kind of like, it's kind of like you learn something else. If you learn carpentry, you know, bring me the wrench versus bring me the hammer.
right,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of, it's a whole other language. But if you were interested in it, it's
Mm,
extremely, oh, MOC, the master of the copyright. Oh, I copyrighted it, so I'm the master. Yeah,
yeah, right,
you know
right,
what I mean. So not really complex.
right, right. But it's intimidating
It's
because as artists, we are brought up to let somebody else handle. That's what the record companies were all about. Let us handle this, keep you in the dark. You know, let us handle this. And it's even with the manager, let me handle this and keep you in the dark. Right. So these are native
right.
things that a lot of artists come up with, like having somebody like yourself to come to. Man, back when I started, I would have loved to have that. You know what I mean? Because nobody told me.
Yeah,
All I did know was ASCAP, VMI, and CSAC. That's all I knew, right?
yeah.
Because, and even then, I thought I was enlightened. I was like, this is, you know. But it's so many other pieces to the game,
And
and
you know, let me, just because you're on the platform and speaking and bringing it up one time, I'm going to break down the very simplest definition of what's happening when you get ASCAP and BMI real quick, okay? So Walmart, Starbucks, hotels, anywhere that's playing public music, they get their music, and once a year they pay ASCAP and BMI to release all their music to them. Walmart goes in and says, I want these 26 songs for this month. Boom, they go and they're playing over Walmart speakers. So unless you're making music that those corporates or those type of locations, or anywhere, it could be anywhere. I mean, Spencer's may play your music all over Walmart. Unless they're playing your music, your songwriter is really not getting paid. Now the publisher, obviously, is a different situation. A publisher is AKA the person who got it to the public. So my son could be a publisher. If he put it in TuneCore, it was like, I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna publish you. I'm gonna is putting in TuneCore and saying, hey, I'm gonna give you only 30% too, because well, I put it there. I am the publisher. So when you hear horror stories about R. Kelly, where it's like the publisher made over $22 million more than Kells, well, of course you can see how that happened. All they did was, and there's and ASCAP and BMI, out of 6 accounts that collect your money, ASCAP and BMI are just one.
Right.
Just one.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I have to constantly debunk that because they do the ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, GBS, Global, all of them, they do a great job marketing, but a lot of people don't understand, like, well, I put it in SoundCloud or I put it in ASCAP, I'm good. Yeah, but you do know where ASCAP does with their music.
Right.
Like unless they're choosing you over the speakers, that's why the songwriter is the only person that gets paid if it's on the radio. The digital performing artist, the person who's in the video, does not get paid.
Right.
The songwriter is the only person that gets paid if it's on the FM radio in your car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times people bring up ASCAP and BMI, and I'm like, that's the smallest check my clients are getting, and that's the biggest account you're counting on. You know what I mean? So
so many
I
gaps
always
in
just
what
want
they don't
to break
do.
out.
So many gaps in what they don't do, right? So that's the thing about it. Like you a lot of people think, oh, I'm covered. Like you said, not so much. Not so much.
No, and every single way your music is played is covered by a different person. If your music is on Pandora, a different person, a different row. If your music is on Pandora, Pandora doesn't pay out the ASCAP. If your music's on SoundCloud, SoundCloud doesn't pay out the ASCAP. If your music is in a movie, that's not paid out to ASCAP. That's paid out to the copyright owner. If it's, you know what I mean? So like you can't think one, and then there's 2 different type of listens. There's the listen where it's called non-interactive, like Pandora, where the person doesn't choose the song. Well, non-interactive is completely covered versus the people, the aggregators that let you choose a song. So right there, there's a huge divide right there. A lot of distributions that offer, and there's 84 stores, 60% of them are non-interactive. They are not collecting the stream money from your non-interactive. If you do not have your music covered in the non-interactive account that I set you up with, all that money's left on the table, and you only get your interactive streams. So that's why they can be like, yeah, you got your check, but 700 was left on the table. Well, what do you mean 700 was left on the table? Well, because they're going to say, well, because it was left on the table. They're not saying because, well, all of your streams came from non-interactive, and we don't pay out to non-interactive streams. This company pays out to non-interactive streams. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's kind of like, if you knew better, you do better. It's like what I always say, So, but it's those simple things. But that's why I teach you how to put your song in every single account across the board. So that way, if it's played on Gazer versus YouTube versus SoundCloud versus Pandora versus in a movie, you're getting paid regardless. You're learning the entire system. So I think that's. And once you learn the system, I can take you on. I can take him on. I can take 30 people on. It doesn't matter. I can put anyone through the system. Anyone. So, and that's where the money comes in.
I say it.
You ain't got to be a star.
I've told you before, offline, I said, hey, you're doing God's work. I really feel like you're a hero in this. And I'm, I feel like you really are filling a gap that's, when that's business, that's what business all is. You feel the need, you saw a need that was there, and you feel that niche. And I can't explain to you how important it is to be able to, like I said, have you on my segment, be able to educate, because that's all I'm about. Just I'm learning myself as I go along, but just educating others who don't even know, have any idea what this, what this whole business is about. So again, I thank you for coming on. It's been like my pleasure.
Thank you for following me. Thank you for this opportunity. Like I said, I really don't speak out much. I don't do many interviews, so this was a very selected interview for myself to do. But I'm very appreciative of this platform and for you spreading the knowledge of what I do. That's all I can ask for.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, again, I appreciate everybody watching the business. Again, great guest, Gigi Miller. I want to thank her, and we'll see you next Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays from now. We come on, but we're bi-weekly. All right. Salute. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jay Irv. I run Charles and Trimble. Thanks for checking out this episode of The Business, our new show every other Wednesday, where we dive into the inner workings of the music business, behind the scenes with the music professionals who live it and breathe it every day. Be sure to like and subscribe. And for more content daily, head over to our IG page, Charles and Trimble. Until next time, thanks.